Hello and welcome everyone. I see we are live and I just hope my mic is working well. How's it, KKC Bass? Welcome. How's it, Cosmic Surfer? Good to see you guys. Please tell me if you can hear me well. I'm still somehow having issues with my mic. I think it's got support on my iPhone, unfortunately. So the lighting looks a bit better at least. Sorry, I had to try and adjust it. So there we go. So how's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. Just want to say welcome. If you know, we do have a Discord server. The link is below in the, what's the name? Okay. Just want to say hi to everybody. Morning. How's it going? Yep, sound clear. Cool. Okay, I'm glad everything's going. Got my juice ready. Everybody knows the topic today. It's got to do with, is flat Earth smarter than the current gravity? So we're going to have the pros and the cons of the two together, and I think we all know it's got to do with the flat Earth side. It's going to be with relative density disequilibrium, and from the globe side, it's obviously the current gravity, which is Einsteinian gravity. But first, let's go back on to saying hi to everybody and to do some housekeeping. Let's get to it. Okay, first off, I just have to say a great thank you to everybody that's joined and to the Patreon supporters. Thank you, KKC Bass, for joining the Rooster Den, and you too, Michael Kahn, for joining the Rooster Den. I do have a Patreon up and running. I started yesterday. If you do want to join the Patreon, I do have a link below in the description box if you choose to do so. Thank you very much. And also, one more thing, I also have a merch store up and running. I will be putting the link below in the description box as well after the live stream. And whatever we do talk about today, if there is video links, I will put that down below. And thank you again for everybody coming. I really do appreciate it. And well, this is going to be an integration kind of live stream where you guys are going to take part, because I think we need to all come up together what is going to be the pros and the cons of both, because that's how it works. We're all together in this reality and all have our own different ways of viewing things and opinions on it. How's it, Real Now the Science Guy? Nice to see you. Hey, how's Y? Good to see you too. Good, 6 people coming in. I'm great. I'm happy you guys are in. And just a reminder, there is another live stream tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central African time. I do now every Saturday. I'm going to do a live stream about this time for all of us on this side of the plane, and then 6 a.m. Central African time on a Sunday morning for the other guys that side, because a lot of people in Australia and I think it's South America or something, and they aren't able to show it up on the live stream. Okay, good. How's it, dear Zidane? Nice to see you guys. Okay, the first question up today. If you had to just stand and someone had to present their argument to you, they had to, let's say, Neil deGrasse Tyson had to go and he had to drop his mic down on the floor and just say, that's gravity. Then you have someone else on the other side coming, let's say from the flat Earth side, coming in and say, sorry, that's not gravity. That's simply just relative density. Which one are you going to try and to listen to more? Neil deGrasse Tyson blocking a mic and saying that is the reason we see what we see, it's gravity? Or are you going to listen to the other guy that's saying, no, actually, it's just relative density? Answers below so we can see. Number 1 for deGrasse Tyson, number 2 for relative density guy. Let's see what you guys say. I must say the weather's quite great here today. It's getting nice and sunny. It's definitely starting to turn around, I have to say. No 1s or 2s yet? Well, I know I would definitely choose number 2, because relative density does make more sense to me personally than so-called gravity. And the reason for that is Gravity today. Neil is my priest. Yes, Kikas. That's what. Yes, saying safe. Per volume is relative density. Good. Number 2. Okay, so we got 1 foot number 2. We got another cosmic number 2. Kiki's best. I think he's also going to be probably number 2 if I have to know him. And I'm also going to take number 2. Okay. The reason I would personally take number 2, as I was saying, is because relative density explains it a lot better. Gravity, on the other hand, is just nobody actually knows what it is. That's why they come up with different theories on what they think that it is, and it keeps changing as time goes by. Okay. Yes, your Kabbalist rabbi. Yes, definitely. Don't let the anti-flat earthers say that, because they don't believe in Kabbalah and the elite and so forth. You know what? They're close to truth and reality, because everything's just conspiracy. Anyway, let's see. Exactly, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Everything you knew about gravity is just wrong. Richard Bonnet. But I think Neil deGrasse Tyson also said that. Someone even asked Neil deGrasse Tyson, what is gravity? And he just said, I don't know. And there's a good reason for that, because they don't know. There is no such thing as gravity in the first instance. They actually have to make up a story on what gravity is. That's why when they first had Newtonian gravity, some of the stories were he saw an apple fall from the tree, and he was thinking to himself, now why is the apple falling down to the ground? And other stories were, no, he watched the moon and he was wondering why the moon has tides and stuff. You know, there's different stories on why. But at the end of the day, Newton didn't even want to get ascribed to gravity because he thought it was absurd. And yet, somehow he gets ascribed to it by, I think it's C.V. Boyce. He ascribed him to Newton's. And today, unfortunately, everything has got done to the great Newtonian gravity. Even though Newtonian gravity is outdated and now everybody's using Einsteinian gravity, although in the equations for everything, it's Newton's. Density makes sense. Gravity is an escape ladder that globers use whenever they have no answer. Correct. It's their glue for everything. I mean, look at the gas pressure arguments, look at even the Coriolis arguments, look at anything that's going, their argument is gravity. And gravity today is just simply based in 4D pseudo-Riemannian force space, which doesn't exist. We live in a 3-dimensional world. There's no such thing as 4-dimensional world, although people would like to think so. Calculations, back, I don't know. That's actually just what gravity is today. It's calculations. It's equations on based what they think it is. Yes, you can make usual equations with gravity on Fm equals ma squared and whatever, but it's not going to change anything. What you're observing is still relative density. Just because you make an equation with your narrative that you believe it's pulling down doesn't change the fact what you're observing is what you're observing. You just putting your equation gravity, it's not going to change the fact that it's not gravity. Okay, next question. If you had to take, okay, let's just first read this one. Gravity equals theory. The forces we are subject to: light, density, magnetism, and buoyancy. Yes, I would agree. Although the globers think that because they were taught from childhood that buoyancy requires gravity, which is it's actually total rubbish. You don't need gravity to have buoyancy. Although because they use gravity in their buoyancy, doesn't mean that in relative density you need to have gravity. It's simply just the displacement. It's Archimedes' principle. You just replace the gravity with density. Simple as that. Because it's just displacing the support. Same difference. Good to see you two wolves. If I haven't said hello to anybody yet, I do apologize. I just want to say thank you for all your support, and I do really appreciate it. Well, I better put my phone on charge. Okay. Let's get to it.
Okay, next question. Why, in your opinion, if I have to pick up a rock from the ground and drop it, why does it go down? What is, in your opinion, the reason for that? Yes, a ball and a feather fall together in a vacuum, so they say. You've seen, in a vacuum, obviously it's going to, because there's no, I can say, friction, because it takes a medium amount of it around the edge, down. So it's going to fall together. Why is it something that has got more mass isn't going to still fall faster? Yes, they say it takes now more energy to start falling, acceleration, you know, the same old spiel. But relative density explains it a lot better, because it's simply, there's less friction, less support to hold it down, and thus it's going to fall down at a certain amount. Also, one thing, I don't know if anybody's realized, can anybody show me what gravity is without having density? You first require density to have your gravity. So if you're throwing away density, you don't have gravity. Just my 2 cents. Good to see 8 people in. I really hope we're getting. I wanted to make more notes for this live stream, but today it was just too hectic. The shops and everything we cleaned just before. I literally had like 5 minutes to get in here and try to set everything up. I was struggling to even get my mic to work, and like I said, at least working, so I'm happy about that. Okay. So how do we explain relative density disequilibrium? Well, in my own words, I think the easiest way to explain it is, if you look in observing nature, everything has a foundation. Everything is built on foundations. Houses are built on foundations. The trees are built on foundation, has roots. The mountains has foundations. Everything has a foundation. It needs to be sturdy to stand up. So what does that mean? The relative direction is from ground up. That is the best way I can explain it, to say relative density is making more sense, because in reality, you see foundation. Everything has a foundation. So you have to build up on that foundation. And for that to happen, you have to actually use energy. So if I have to pick up that rock from the ground, I've exerted energy into that ground, and it has potential energy. And as soon as I've let go of that rock and it falls or sinking, it's because I've released that potential energy, because I've taken it out of its disequilibrium, I've taken it out of its static equilibrium. So as it's falling, it's going back down to the foundation where it can be supported again. Obviously, the air around it, once it's picked up, cannot support it, and it's not going to go up further because it takes more energy to go up further, because like I said, the foundation is the base. That's where it's built on. Now, when we come to gravity, they have a fundamental belief that you require something to pull you down to the ground. Otherwise, you're going to fly off, which is total nonsense. It's illogical, because if you stand outside and you just, even where you're sitting now, if you just have to think to yourself, do I require something to hold me to the ground, or I'm going to fly off into the air? No, obviously not, because it's nonsensical. Any logical person will think, listen, yeah, you're feeding me some bullshit story here. And that's exactly what it is. It's just a bullshit story. Equilibrium is reality. Exactly. That's why you have static equilibrium. Okay. Actually knew G before Newton. G was used in Archimedes' law. It was called the free fall acceleration. Later changed to gravity. Galileo also knew about the free fall acceleration law. Exactly. Free fall acceleration was actually based on density. That's why they changed relative density to specific gravity. They literally saw there was a problem, so they had to change what was already established as density, and then say, okay, let's work on it, and that's where they came up with gravity, because they needed to push their religious belief for space, their sphere, and they needed this coherent glue called gravity to hold people. So that's why they pushed the story right. If you do not have gravity, you're just going to fall off. You're going to fly away, which is nonsensical because, like we said, you don't observe that in reality, and then they still come and claim it's science. I've yet to see any actual science proving gravity. There's a lot of pseudoscientific papers out there that to explain gravity in their own words that also don't actually explain because it's all different. The reason why today people are trying to get rid of Einsteinian gravity and push entropic gravity because they know entropy overcomes gravity. Entropy is just the law. Everything has to decay, everything has to go to disorder. That's how it is. Good point, Majid Nawalati. Sorry, I can't really pronounce your name well. Anybody else got thoughts on how you would explain relative density or gravity? I see I've got so much of the normal trolls still messaging me, but they aren't really in the live stream messaging me. It's just actually really sad because those are the guys that usually have the most to say, the keyboard warriors, but when you actually have to want to come and talk, they can't come and talk, which doesn't really show much, does it? Doesn't show much for a person's character. Okay, so let's go through pros and cons. Gravity pros. It's quite difficult. What are the pros of gravity? Well, all your equations work on gravity, you know, Newtons and everything, and you can set equations to work out what we observe, obviously, but those observations are done through centuries of tried experimentation. So, yes. Hey Adam, good to see you. But also, the difference is we can do the exact same equations just based with relative density. The only difference is we take that g and we just change it to the density. Density also has the acceleration down. The reason we have acceleration down, our force comes from the pressure because it cannot support it anymore. When it comes from gravity, it literally has to have a force to pull it down. But hey, what do you know? There is no such thing as a gravitational force these days because Einsteinian, it's only a thing, not a force. In the 1640s and 1650s, Italian scientist, Jesuit priest Francesco Grimaldi and Giovanni Riccoli made the first calculations of the gravitational constant. Yeah, it's funny how all the Jesuit priests and stuff pushed like the Big Bang and, you know, all the gravity nonsense and stuff. It actually shows you. It's just a cult. Yes. 0 reality 1. Okay. Objects that are denser than oil fall down in oil in an acceleration of 7.6 and in Mercury, the free fall acceleration will changes to 4.3. So where is the constant 9.8? Exactly, it's just medium dependent. That's what I said, it's relative density. You have to, the medium makes the support. The less that can support it, the faster it's going to accelerate because it's releasing the potential energy and it's turned to kinetic energy. It's simple. Nothing can just have instant max velocity. It has to actually accelerate from 0. That's why I say when you pick up the rock, you put in potential energy to that rock, and as soon as you let it go, it's got to accelerate. It starts on 0. It has to accelerate. And it does that because the air around it cannot support it anymore. And why doesn't it go up? It's because it takes more energy to go up. The foundation is at the bottom where you picked it up, you've taken it out of its equilibrium, and that's why we say the force is disequilibrium from its surroundings. Can you show us how to calculate the weight of an object using relative density? Like I said, just take F equals ma squared and just change the gravity constant to density constant. That's all it is. It's just relative density. You're just taking the same observation that's based in reality, which is density, and you've just pushed it to gravity. So why can you use gravity and we just can't change that G to relative density? Why can't we do that? Because it's simply the force, which we can has a force, which is because the pressure can't support it anymore, it falls or sinks. Okay, can you explain with relative density why objects of known mass weigh less at the equator than more close to the poles? Can you prove this? Because I've heard this before. People say that objects of known mass weigh less at the equator and more close. Because I have seen a video where people take a scale and they try and weigh it at the so-called equator, which is begging the question, by the way, and then going to the poles and also begging the question, but do they actually tear that? I mean, a scale is so very sensitive. I mean, I work with a very sensitive scale every day with my spray painting job. That if you have to tear it and you go to another place and tear it again, it can even differ by a little fraction or something based on just temperature alone outside. So it's actually not a valid argument in a way, because you guys are taking gullibility, I could say, because people can say, oh, look, it's changed this little bit of grams because I've taken it there. Have you taken into account the magnetics of the poles or whatever? Where exactly has this happened? Can you prove it? Because it's very difficult to actually see or get any video footage showing that it actually does happen. Okay. New physical interpretation of Archimedes' principle, Journal of Applied Mathematics and Physics. Yes. Okay. Cheers, housewives. See you later. Hey, Daryl. Good to see you. Scale manufacturers have correction volumes for latitude. Yes, they need to have it. Like I said, pressure changes. Because pressure changes, your density ratio changes. Remember? Medium dependent. Less pressure, it's got less support. More pressure, more support. Simple. Yes, exactly. Gravity is not a force. Good. And you mean close to the magnets. Exactly. If you have to put something close to the magnets, it's going to obviously change your reading. So in other words, by default, when they're taking it to the poles, they are conceding that the change is actually just electromagnetics. It's just magnetism. Centrifugal force change. I'm sorry, what's centrifugal force? We are sitting still. There's no movement. That is just another, it's just another belief. You think there's centrifugal force. There's no movement. If you can show me different movement where I am situated here in South Africa to if I had to move down or up to wherever, it's not going to change. It's got exactly the same. There's no movement. That's just your belief, Daryl. And I think everybody on here is going to tell you the same thing. Don't come and push centrifugal force if you can't prove your acceleration first. You can't prove your velocity. We've been through this before. Coriolis has a lot of impacts, and there's none of them actually showing in reality. So, merry-go-round theory, exactly. So, Daryl, please don't come with nonsense with centrifugal changes, because that's, again, just begging the question fallacy. And then, obviously, you're affirming the consequent because you have a belief of the Earth spinning, which is total bullshit. Which always requires acceleration. Yeah. Any other stories you want to bring up, Daryl, to try and affirm your consequent belief? The heliocentric belief has a lot of beliefs which contradicts itself and is not compatible with reality. Let's put it that way. I like how the people put it. Focal pendulums. Let's see. Focal pendulums. Bring laser gyroscopes and observe sky motion agree with Earth. Again, Daryl, no, they don't. Focal pendulums move up and if it was due to the Earth rotation, the person would not have to keep putting momentum into it to make it move. They do not. It has oscillations, which makes it also change. There's tension on the oscillations. You know, this is what I was trying to explain to Blue Marble Science with his so-called Cavendish experiment as well. Still working on that video. I hope it's going to be ready by Monday to come out. Just to find the nuances. You guys are just very gullible. You guys forget what the mechanics is behind the tension and the torsion. I mean, it's got oscillations, so obviously. Okay, as it goes to ring laser gyroscopes, thank you for once again showing that light does not move at the same speed, which debunks the one where light is speed. And with gyroscopes, precession, easily explained. With mechanical gyroscopes, it's just the oscillation again because the mechanical spin. And when it comes to observe sky motion, yes, we observe the sky move, correct, not the Earth. So there we go, just debunked your argument. Coriolis effect in objects, so no turn, you'd see it whether it want or not. Exactly. Cold pendulums. faulty cold pendulums. You don't understand. Isn't that the favorite argument? You just don't understand. Yes, I understand focal pendulums very well. That's why I just told you what it is. The focal pendulum is simply just moving in a straightforward direction. You see this movement because of the oscillations, because it's mechanical. It's just simply mechanical oscillations that provide that. It's not in any way, shape, or form due to some earthly spin. It's simple. Probably better than you. Okay. But like I said, if it was due to earth spin, we could just have something just hanging like this, and I wouldn't have to touch nothing, and it's just going to start moving around in different directions, because that's how it's supposed to work. Okay. Yeah. Also want to know, Daryl, what does Coriolis cause actually? Because I have yet to see Coriolis in everyday observation. Actually, I mean, you can demonstrate it on merry-go-rounds and so forth, but when you're standing here, do you see Coriolis, which is just an apparent effect? It's not actual. The Coriolis force, as they put it, is centrifugal, but that's on a merry-go-round, not in reality. And when you guys are saying hurricanes and stuff, what do you know? Hurricanes. This just shows you never went to school. What happens with all the hot air going over the cold seas? It's just going to, hot air rises and cold air goes down. And what happens? Because you've got jet streams, they mix, whoop, and you get your tropical cyclones, which turn into hurricanes. Voila, no need for Coriolis. It's all just based on topography and environment. Okay. Let's see. Rakovi, again, begging the question. At the equator, north latitude, that focal pendulum does not rotate in the southern hemisphere. Have you been there to north percentage? Have you been to the north degrees latitude to test this, Rakovi? Because maybe I should do this for you guys. I can actually do the focal pendulum and show it rotating either way. It's just a little effect. It's a mechanical effect. I'm telling you, it's not got to do with the ground. It's free from the ground. That's why the focal pendulum is created. It's supposed to be free from the ground. It's got nothing to do with the ground. It's supposed to be in free space going the whole way like this. That's all it is. Okay. Nobody has calculated the speed of light exactly. They have a assertion, which is basis actually, that there's just a one-way speed of light, but that is also just belief. There's no such thing as a one-way speed of light. How do you know it hasn't got a two-way speed of light? Which I like ring laser gyroscopes, which prove light travels at different speeds. Let's see what it says. Focal pendulum requires an initial force, and eventually it will stop rotating due to the lack of force. So did the Earth's force, exactly, did the Earth stop? That's what I'm trying to explain to them. They have to keep pushing that energy into it to get it moving. If there's no energy moving it, it's not going to move anyway. And Earth is supposed to keep that momentum. What happened to the conservation of momentum? It's supposed to keep that momentum going. It's a fictitious force. There is no Newtonian force applied. And there is a spatial relationship change. You still require actual force to have that fictitious force, Daryl. Do you understand that? If you're saying hurricanes, it requires physical force to have that hurricane happen. It's physical wind that's moving. Heat rises, cold down. And because it's got the wind pushing in a certain direction, thanks to topography, it spins in that direction. Same with the water at a basin. I can throw it this way, it spins this way. I can throw it this way, it's going to spin the other way. It's simple mechanics. It's physics. You guys are just gullible. Light travels at the same speed. It's Doppler effect. Sound and light are two different things, just so you have to know. I know it doesn't travel at the same speed. You cannot prove that. You just once again have a belief that it does. Okay, let's see. The cause has no force involved except the Earth turning. So we see the effect if the Earth were turning. And anything going straight from below as returning as an illusion. But no, exactly, Adam, we do not see any of this happening, although they do want us to believe that it is happening. It's just doesn't. Daryl, acknowledge you're wrong, have some humility. Daryl, I would really, that I would like to see if he's going to do that. But yeah, I don't see Daryl doing that. Okay, focal pendulums are affected by the length of the rope and the object hanging on the rope. The upper tie is the tap of the rope and the initial force. There's a torque applied to the weight that's part of there. That's why it has that mechanical spin. I mean, there's torsion, twist on the rope it's sitting on. There's so much pivot points and problems. There's friction. There's just too much variables to actually say, okay, it's Earth turning underneath. Again, that's just taking a mechanical device, seeing, okay, observe this mechanical device and saying, oh, because it does this, I'm going to affirm the consequence. My belief is true. The Earth is turning underneath it. Fictitious, fake, huh? Pseudomagneal, pneumonial, not noticeable. Sorry. Okay. Well, it's good to see everybody's doing great. This is sort of still on gravity, though. But yeah, relative density still explains why the weight is hanging against how the weight is hanging on for gravity. So with gravity, it's supposed to be pulling the weight down, and that's why it's hanging. And with relative density, the weight is simply returning back to equilibrium position. It's releasing the energy it's put into the system of the object once you picked it up, and that the surrounding system cannot support it anymore, and it has to go back down to the foundation. So that's the difference. Same observation, same calculations, just the difference is gravity is a pull, density is not support. Capish? Which makes more sense to you? If something cannot support something, which you can observe and explain it every day, or something that was a force, now isn't a force, and now it's going to be entropic and only based in a pseudo-Riemannian force space, which we cannot observe, which is going to make more sense to you. Okay, let's see. Pseudo-force, also called a fictitious force. No, that's what's called pseudo. Initial force of an ambient force is an apparent force that acts on all masses, an apparent. In other words, it's apparent. You see it. It's optical. Doesn't make it actual. Just like when you're on a merry-go-round, it's not actually pulling you away. It's turning. So it's turning away from you. So it wants to leave you behind, and that's why it wants to throw you off. It's an actual force that created that fictitious force. It first requires a force to get a fictitious force. That's where your problem comes in. Exactly this effect should happen in all things, but it doesn't. I totally and 100% agree. I see Bobby S is in. Hey Bobby, yeah, the audio is a bit rough. Other guys said it's fine, so I don't know. Like I said, I am struggling with my mic again. I think it might be the port on my phone. I didn't really have time to set up my StreamYard on my laptop yet, so I'll try and do that for tomorrow morning. I think I'm going to try and do it through the laptop. Maybe that will work better. Oh, so you do see it. What do I see, Daryl? Daryl, what do we see? We see that you are trying to push in your religious assertions on something without having any evidence to back it up. That's what we do see. Physics explains exactly what's happening. The only difference is where you guys want to use gravity, we just take the G, throw it in the bin, because that's not actually what we observe, and we put in relative density. So your equations is exactly the same, just where G is pulling, relative density is turning to equilibrium. Okay. Hey Candid, nice to see you too. So on the merry-go-round, you can feel the effect of a force that is only apparent. Again, it's an actual force that's spinning the merry-go-round, which creates the effect of you falling backwards. It's literally pushing you away, that force. You require that force to have the apparent force, the fictitious force. Without the actual force, there is nothing. That's why your gravity falls apart. Gravity is not a force. So how do you have your fictitious force if there's no force to give it rise? You first have a force to give it rise to a fictitious force. The simple physics debunks itself. Exactly, he's just pushing a fairy tale. He's even got the socks that, well, all the socks have to stick together, that we know. Okay. All acceleration is defined rationally, meaning you cannot speak of an acceleration without implying what you are accelerating relative to, which is also true. That's why you have reference frames. Thank you, Dan. Okay, fictitious or pseudo, gravity, considerable coriolis, etc. Okay, what you say? So if you can feel it, it's not just apparent, it's tangible. I just explained this 2 seconds ago, Candid. You feel it because it's a physical force. What you apparent is not physical. That's what you see. If a merry-go-round is turning, let me try and draw it. I might have to. Okay, okay, merry-go-round is turning. Okay. Oh, no, light is bad. Let's say it's turning in this direction. The center. You are standing here. What's going to happen? You are going with it, but the force is pushing that way, pushing that way, pushing that way. So the apparent, it's pulling you that way as well. It's from the physical force getting you to go that way, because in each direct, it's going the same force applied in different tangential speeds, or in different tangents. It's simple. Can I make it any clearer for you? Yep. Just want to again say thank you to all the Patreon supporters. I started a Patreon yesterday, and I'm pleased to say I already got 2. Kikis Seabass and Michael Plant. Thank you guys very much for joining the Rooster Den. You guys rock. And if you guys do want to join the Patreon to help me get better equipment for you guys, yeah, I will put a link below in the description box after the live stream. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, Candid 2. So there is a force. What's your point? My point is, there's a force, and the fictitious force is still based on the actual force. You first need the force to have the fictitious force apparent. The fictitious force is not really there. You're still getting pulled by the actual force that's turning. That's the point. Your gravity is the same. You don't have a force. So how do you have an effect? You cannot have a fictitious effect without having a force. Gravity is not a force. End of discussion. Gravity falls down flat. Does it kick in yet to you? Yeah, so we can't feel or see spin. Sounds very fictitious. Good one, yes. Fictitious it is. I mean, just think about this logically. We can't see Earth spin. We can't feel Earth spin, but Earth spins apparently. You can't see things pull gravity to the ground. You can't see anything happening for gravity, but apparently it is. You say gravity is not a force, and to have your fictitious effect, you require a force. So you just kill your own argument by saying gravity is not a force, and that's why you get the anti-flat earthers today that are going down the road saying, no, gravity is a force. They are intertwined, but no, it's not. It's 107 years out of date. Pseudo-Riemannian is unfortunately your gravity narrative today. And if you don't accept it, then you're going against your own globe cult. Hey, Chilstead Lux, good to see you. Welcome. Hope you're enjoying your time here. There's no weight to the theory of gravity. That's actually a very good one. Yes, although they like to say gravity is caused by weight, actually still show me weight without mass. Show me mass. What is mass? And what is gravity without density? Gravity, gravity, gravity. I'm glad you understood it, Adam. I am trying to explain it as simple as I possibly can. Hey, someone, good to see you. I'm glad you're enjoying it, dude. Let's see what else Canada has to say. So if I drop a stone, it doesn't accelerate towards the ground. No, Canada, if you were here earlier, I did say it still accelerates. I'm going to go through it again quickly, just quickly for everybody. I pick up a rock. I picked it up from its foundations, where it was in static equilibrium. I put potential energy into this rock. I let go of rock. Whoop. It accelerates down, sinks. Why? Because it's going back to its equilibrium. It's been placed in a disequilibrium, which creates pressure, which is a force, pushes it down because the surrounding medium cannot support it anymore. Voila, it accelerates back to where it comes from. Back on the ground, it has support, so its foundation is holding it. Voila, relative density with acceleration and a force, explained, the end. Understand? Okay. Hi, WS. No, it's not. Flat Earth can't explain the variances in weight by latitude and in certain locations. I already did. Everything changes with the medium around it. Less pressure, more pressure, it changes. It gives more support or less support. The density of the gas, it also changes the change of the support. The magnetism in the air changes it. There's so much variables that change why it changes. Okay. I agree someone, flat earth is the only truth, and I'm so happy that I came to flat earth when I did, because the transition was actually very easy for me, and I'm a much happier person today, and I see things much more logically. So, the acceleration depends on the disequilibrium. A stone will accelerate more than a feather. Doesn't the stone accelerate more than a feather? Oh, I know what you're going to do. You're going to try to put it in the vacuum and say, oh, look, you're still making my argument because you're taking the medium away. It is medium dependent. I don't know. My 7-year-old daughter understands medium difference, but I can't get grown adults to understand changing the medium changes the acceleration properties. Okay. Pressure is 14.7 psi at sea level. Okay. Yet weight changes at latitude, by latitude at sea level. Can you prove that? Like I said before, can you prove that? Pressure changes all the time at sea level. I can go 10 meters into the sea and the pressure has changed from there to here. It doesn't stay a constant 14.7, by the way. It does change. 14.7 is just the bar they set. Just to let you know. Okay. Anti-FEs running in circles and dodging in. Exactly, that's all they do. We just get, that's all they do, over and over. The said waters above are superfluid helium. That's actually a good comment. I'm wanting to do a video on that because I was actually have thoughts on that. How do we know that the container, to say, because no one actually knows where it is, what it is, or whatever, but a good theory of what it could be is superfluid because of helium. It's in the right conditions to become superfluid there, and it just makes a lot of sense. And no, I'm not taking a claim on it. I'm just saying it's quite interesting. Just saying. Exactly, just saying. We murdered the globe. It's still around fine. Around fine. That's a good one. You guys are commenting good. Okay. If pressure changes constantly, then weight should change constantly when it's the same location using the idea. That pressure change is so small. How are you going to really measure it constantly? I mean, even when I'm mixing paint, the change in the densities change such a minute little, just when based on different temperatures, that it's that you don't really see the difference. When you have to go to more extremes, then you can measure the difference, but it's really minute. Look at, I did a video, I think it was beginning of last year, the year before that, on my channel. Maybe I should put the link in the description, where I took a bottle on the scale and I heated it up, how it changed its weight, because I changed the temperature. Changing the pressure changes the weight. I'll put that link in the below. Okay, water on Earth always finds its level. Exactly. And what is level? Horizontal and flat. Simple. No maths needed. Suez Canal is proof, if anyone needs it. Actually, any river in the world is proof. The Nile is the longest, river in Africa. Really? The Nile. We can measure the weight changes with latitude. Unfortunately, you can't. You know why? Because you don't have a radius. Your radius changes with daily. Remember, you keep changing the constants. So what you measure is not a measurement. It's just a calculation. There's a difference between measurement and calculations, which you guys still have a fundamental blocking to understand. Calculations are not proof. And measurements are only a unit way of trying to calculate something. So it doesn't actually prove anything. It just wants you to calculate into existence. You're affirming the consequent. How else can I explain? I don't know. Why is a stone always going down when the air above it is less dense? Did I not just explain this like 3 times to you people? Do I have to draw it out maybe? Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to say foundation. One thing I do wish I had better is handwriting. Okay. Foundation. This is the Earth's surface. There is rock. It's sitting on the floor. The foundation is supporting it. It is in static equilibrium. I'm going to pick it up. What happened? It took energy to pick it up. It now is here and it's stored energy while I'm holding it there. What happens? It wants to return to its equilibrium position, where its foundation lies, to be able to support, because the air around it cannot support that rock anymore. What's supporting it at the moment is me holding it up in the air. As soon as you let it go, it releases that potential, it becomes kinetic energy. So it accelerates back down to its foundation, the equilibrium point. The air around it couldn't support it, so it went down. Why would you require it to go up? You have to take more energy. Keyword, foundation. Okay. That's what I liked your analogy with the fishbowl from the previous video. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I do try and make it as simple as I possibly can for the people to understand. Yes, elephants in water float whenever. Dispersion of weight. Okay, it's just disperses the weight. Okay, let's see what you say. Someone, canal has locks, so there goes your argument. Yes, the canals have locks. There's a reason for that. Because they have to actually hold the water in a certain interval, otherwise it's going to get flooding everywhere. It's simple. I don't know how more to explain it to you. I mean, if you just have to let all the water release everywhere, there's going to be floodings where you don't want it, or it's going to be droughts where you don't want it. There's reasons for that. And they also probably have to have I think the ships and stuff go through the Panama Canal, so it's just based on making life easier for everybody around them. Okay, let's see. You have no answer for why down. Sorry, this is why I get so frustrated with these guys. I literally just drew it for you on a board after I explained it 4 times before that to you, telling me I don't have an answer why down. Shit, fucking mouw in your kop. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not going to talk to WS anymore because this is the kind of rubbish I get from him. If he's too stupid to understand what a foundation is and why down, I can't talk to guys like this anymore. So please, if you guys do feel the need, I do have moderators. You guys can do whatever you want with them because I'm sick of this troll. Thank you. The stone doesn't want to do anything. The explanation only works if there is an acceleration due to gravity. No, candidate. My explanation works perfectly due to relative density. You picked it up, you put energy into the system, you release that energy, it's accelerating back down to its foundation, voila. No gravity required. Gravity is bullshit, it's just your religious belief. Okay. Let's see. Hey Gary, good to see you. Guys, Gary Wybenga has actually brought out quite a few good videos this last couple of days on perspective and how we're getting angular compression, everything, bottom obstruction. I'll put a link in for his videos below on the description after the live stream. Do go ahead and check that, and if you have not, subscribe to it. Really well worth it. Okay. Lol, he says you need evidence for your explanation of how things work. Okay. My evidence is everyday physics. Pick up something, energy, stored potential energy. Let go, kinetic energy. Back down to where it comes from, equilibrium. Physics, do I need to be more, I don't know, dumb it down more? I don't know. I mean, if you ask that right, I might even wonder. Let's see. Let's give you one more chance. Have you seen the simultaneous observation of the Southern Cross from the South Africa and Australia, both looking south, flat Earth kilo? Okay, again, I look at the stars in the Southern Cross from where I am, and they look. You guys are saying it's a disk, which still no one's really making a claim that it's a disk. They're just using that model, I could say, because it's easier to visualize. It could be an infinite plane. It could be what are the stars? We don't know. How do you know it's just not a reflection of the same stars on that side of the dome or whatever you want to call it? It's nonsensical. It could be anything. I mean, I can take a light above a fishbowl and go like this with water underneath, and it's going to show it different, the same light pattern at different angles from every side of the globe. That's how it works. It's just reflection of light. So you can't really make an argument and say you see it like this, so therefore it can't be. It's just showing you don't have logic up here. Let's see, potential energy. Potential energy formula includes gravity. Like I said, you guys take the equations and you stick gravity into it. Just change the gravity to relative density. Same difference, same observation, give the same results, no gravity. And no, you don't need gravity for potential energy. I just explained it to you without gravity. Just because you have an equation doesn't make it reality. Kabish? I'm not saying hand me a wrench, but I would use, I don't know how to put a wrench on you, sorry. No, because RDD still does not account for the downward bias. STST, welcome. I don't know if you've noticed, but you might have to go back and watch when the live stream's over. I did explain it, I think 5 times. I even drew it down why it's got a downward bias, as you call it, because there's no such thing as a downward bias, actually, because there's gas that rises, there's steam that rises, so there's no such thing as a downward bias. It's literally just got to do with the density and energy dispersion. Okay. Let's see. STST, gravity literally keeps you all alive. It allows you to breathe air, which is rubbish because everybody knows in physics, gas behavior 101, gravity has no effect on the direction of gas. And you can quote me on that because I actually got a video where someone actually saying that. So if you want to go and tell them that they're wrong, good luck. Formula for potential energy is U equals, exactly, just change the G to a D. Same difference. It's going to make exactly the same thing. It's just an equation. Your equation is just language. It's explaining the same phenomena. You're just using your belief system of gravity in that equation. That's all. Okay. Show me a stone lighter than air, and I'll show you a floating stone. Promise. I don't know if you realize, when was it, 2 months ago, maybe 3 months, when Sleeping Warrior got Professor Phil on the promise of stone floating. That was quite epic, I have to say. Don't know if anybody watched that. Okay, me, excuses, Flatsworth. Measure the Earth using geodetic surveying like the Lake Pontchartrain survey curve. Sorry, this is a stream about gravity and relative density, but I will quickly answer you. Geodetic surveying comes after normal surveying, which is done with horizontal planes. Geodetic surveying takes that optical drop, you'd say, and just say it's called curve. Geodetics works on an ellipsoid, the belief of a sphere, and that's why it warps the calculations to a sphere which is actually just optical. Anyway, back to the topic. You're just denying reality, you're delusional. No, I've actually explained it to you 100 times now. There's no denying anything, there's no delusions. It's just simply showing you how it is. The ones that are delusional is you guys that can't accept that you guys are wrong. Okay, I'm in a plane. Oh, where am I? Sorry. There we go. I'm in a plane. I drop a stone, it falls. Or sinks, doesn't matter. Now the plane is free fall. I drop the same stone, it doesn't fall, the same stone, same medium, different gravity. What are you trying to say free fall? This is again simple physics. System, stone in the system with the plane, falling at exactly the same speed. You're all still falling, you're just moving at the same speed. It's relative to your system. So that plane, the fuselage or whatever, is going at this speed, and that stone is just falling at the same, you're just matching the same speed. Still applies. You're still falling or sinking, whatever. Okay. Let's see. The Big Bang universe, there is no up and down or north or south, only around, in and out. Exactly. On a Big Bang universe, they simply just have from the center outwards. There's no such thing as down, actually, because down is a different down at someone else's zenith. Sorry, down is someone down at someone else's zenith. So there is no actual down. There's no relative. It's just, yeah, pull. That's why they have gravity, because they need pull to the ground, relative. Religious assertions. Okay, excuses, Flatsworth. Measure the Earth using geodetic. This is guy again. And Lake Pontchartrain. We already debunked the whole sound effect. It's literally just foreshortening. I can take a piece of wood with my camera and I can show foreshortening effect. That's practically what happened on my video yesterday that everybody doesn't like when I show bottom obstruction on a flat bar. It's an aluminium flat bar, and they still come and tell me it's curved. They tell me I must prove that's not curved. Well, it's not me making the claim that aluminium flat bar, quote again, flat bar is curved. This is the kind of logic we have to fight against. You have to go and tell the manufacturer, sorry, your aluminium flat bar that has to be flat for my mixing bench is curved. They're going to laugh at you straight. Yep, gravity is God for anti-flat earthers. 100% agree because they wake up every day feeling that. Professor Paul Bell, welcome. Good to see you. Okay. Did you mention how density, which is mass over volume, explains acceleration? So in this equation, explain how density predicts the distance or time. I explained it, Professor, but I'm not going to explain again. And like I said, equations, it's simply just language. I'm not going to explain your equation to everybody. You can go take your equations somewhere else. Okay? It's simple. Foundation, potential energy, release the energy, falls down. Same. Just changing your gravity to relative density because it cannot support it, and it goes back down to its foundation. Getting kind of tired of explaining that, actually. Yep, here we go with the mathematical lingo. That's one thing that I don't get from these anti-flat earthers. They think we live in some mathematical land. Everything, because it's equation, it makes it reality, which is really dumb. I mean, we try to explain it with, if I have let's say I have 5 ice creams. And I ate 6 of them. How did I have 6 ice creams to eat if I only had 5 ice creams? But I can make an equation to make it work, but in reality it didn't work. Really simple. Okay, how does a 0G plane work if there's no such thing as gravity? 0G is just simply a Newtonian force given, unit that's given to the what pushing on your body. That's all. So the faster you're going, the more G's are pushing against you. The G's is just the unit measurement. That's an actual fictitious force from an actual force. If you're climbing in your car and you're accelerating, you feel it's pushing you back. That force is actually pulling you back because there's a force going forward. The car is pushing you forward. It's pushing you. It's literally pushing you forward. But because you're inside it and it's pushing you forward, you are nudged against it to try because you are not forcing forward. The car is forcing you forward. And that's why you get G's. Not actually gravity. Just FYI. I am an ex-flat earther. I used to believe all this nonsense. That's what is spewing. Actually, STST, like I said before, I don't actually believe you were an actual flat earther because if you look at your content, on your flat earth content compared to what you do now, you literally didn't have the same, how can I put it, chutzpah. You didn't have the same passion for it. You literally went outside, filmed the sun. Oh, look, I see the sun in the clouds. Therefore, it's flat. And that's your video. It just doesn't gel with me. But hey, if you say you were, then that's your prerogative. I'm not going to stop you if you want to go back to the dope cult. It does work better because look how your channel has grown since you've sold out to the dark side, you could say. But I've got nothing against you. You're still a nice dude, even though you're kind of a bigot. But hey, what can we do? Okay, Poncho Train survey is not soundless picture. Did I ever say it's soundless picture? No. I'm just saying Poncho Train soundly likes to use Poncho Train and we debunked it simply for short term. It's a geodetic survey with raw X, Y, and Z coordinates, no geoid applied. Yes. Geodetics use ellipsoid, the Kelvin WGS84. You're supposed to know this if you want to actually talk about surveying. And yes, it is optical. Show me a theologite that's not optical, or an auto level that's not optical. Yes, they use laser pinpoints and stuff, but it's all got to do with straight angles still. They're taking the slope, they're measuring slope. You can still have slope on horizontal planes because you live with topography. Okay, let's see what else Professor Phil has to say. Do you have a predictive formula for the buoyant force that does not include gravity? No, because I don't live with equations, Professor Phil. I simply explain to you with reality why it is. Why must I go and work with equations when I'm telling you, take your gravity equations and just change your gravity to buoyant up to density. It's simply just the displacement of the mass, displacement of the density. Not pulling force down, which is pushing it up. It's just simply supporting it because it's displacing its weight. It's displacing its mass. Okay? Simple. So if you want to go make an equation, be my guest. You need to maybe have them explain themselves before you try answering. Truth is hard, especially when it comes to Adam, it's actually a good idea. Maybe I should let them try. But we can't really have dead air on a live stream now, can we? We actually have to have a live stream going on and on. Okay. How does Big Ben keep time with RDD? It was designed with gravity as its only power source. It's one of the most accurate mechanical clocks in the world, all designed with a knowledge of G. Again, density. It has weights. It's mechanical. It's not gravity. Although they say it is gravity, it doesn't make it gravity. That's just the belief it's in gravity. Change that G to D. I'm actually going to make a shirt of that. Change that D to D. Change that G to D. Would anybody like to see a shirt on that? I think that'd be quite cool. Hey Alwyn, good to see you, dude. Nice to see you on the stream. Hey, 15 people, that's quite cool. Okay. Yeah, I do like you, Flatoid. We are all human at the end of the day, no matter our beliefs. Exactly, dude. Still, I really think you're a cool guy. Do think you're a bit lost, but hey, all for our own. Like I said, it did help your channel a lot, so happy for you, man. You're probably wrong, Flatoid. Modern geodetic survey is GNSS. No ellipsoid applied. Okay. Bendy water believers, as I like to say, Bendy's on tour. Yeah, I still love that word. He wrote it mechanical. Yeah. GNS. Let's see something quickly. Ellipsoidal height, planet Earth shape is simplified as a rugby ball ellipsoid, GNSS, antenna and surface of a rugby ball. Yes, it's ellipsoid. I just Googled it. So I was definitely right. Okay, next. But density doesn't change yet, the mechanism still moves. So yes, like I said, the only difference is gravity. Your belief is that weight that's mechanical is pulling down. Density, that weight, it's seeking equilibrium. So it's putting a stress on the system because the air around it cannot support it. That's the difference. Exactly the same mechanics, exactly the same principles. Only difference is it's a push and not a pull. Okay, if that makes sense, try and explain it. Hey, dear cool thing, long time. Good to see you, dude. I'm glad you could come on here. I'm glad you joined us. He also has quite a cool channel if any of you want to go on. Do subscribe. I will also put a link to his description in the box below. Again, I do have a Patreon. If anybody's interested in becoming a Patreon member, there's 3 different tiers. Rooster, the Rooster being the cheapest one, and then you get the Wolf Pack, and then obviously the highest level is the Lion Pack Pride. I already got 2 Rooster Den guys. Shout out to you again. Kiki's Ass Seabass and Michael Khan. You guys rock. Thank you for joining us Patreons. And I really hope we can grow this channel together because, like I said, the Patreon support is really going to help me to be able to get better equipment so I can make better content for you guys. Okay, let's see. Franco's perspective. Actually, how would a shipwright predict a ship's draught, which requires the buoyant force formula? Like I said, the difference is you guys are, with the buoyant force, you are saying it's pulling it down, and which is displacing that, dispersing that weight, the mass. The only difference is you guys are having the pull, where relative density is pushing down because it's displacing. It's exactly the same. You're just taking gravity out and you're putting relative density in. Where there's a pull belief, it's going to be a push because it's just dispersing to support it. I don't know how much easier I can make it sound to you. Okay, The Discord link in the description of this video isn't working. Okay, Carl, sorry about that. Maybe I don't know if I'll be able to change it now. Would you be able to come back after the stream or something and check so I can change it? Maybe it's expired. The server is still kind of new, so it might be an expired link or something. I will change it. Thanks for letting me know, Carl. I really appreciate it. Yes. Do you have a Discord channel? I will put the link down below after the stream just for you guys. You guys really rock. Okay. Yep, as I thought, it's expired. Sorry about that. I will have to check that. I wonder if you can make a Discord invite that doesn't expire. I'm going to have to look at that. Thanks anyway. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I can't stay long anymore because I still have to go make some food for tonight. It's getting quite late here. Making some burgers for the kiddies. I love making burgers. It's quite exciting. So yes, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central African time, I'm going to do the other live stream. That's more for the guys, down at the plane and the other side of the plane, or Australia and South America and whatever, because they're usually sleeping this time of the day. And well, every Saturday I'm going to have it this time about for us, and then Sunday mornings early for that side. So if you guys are early up and whatever and want to go on the stream, I really appreciate that. I do really like to see you guys here. You guys all rock. If you haven't subscribed, please, I really appreciate if you would subscribe, as the subscribe, the shares, and the likes really do help to push the algorithm of my channel. I am really trying to grow. I'm so close to getting monetized. It's not funny. You guys rock. Even you trolls, thank you for all your so-called support, even though you guys just spew religious beliefs all day. You guys all rock. Till next time, God bless.